So glad you decided to join me tonight for this tea meditation with the Reiki Precepts. So, my name is Sarah, and I am a Reiki practitioner. I have trained with Anna, who is the leader of the Fire and Spirit Reiki Practitioners for Peace, of which I am a member. And I have trained with Anna with Reiki through level 2. I've trained with Kathleen Prasad with her Let Animals Lead Reiki method, also through level 2. I have a real love for Reiki and the beautiful ability to move energy and bring healing to the world, bring healing to ourselves. Hello, David. Welcome. And in my presentations, what I bring to this circle is my background with Cha Dao. Cha Dao is known as the way of tea. It is, and way with a capital W. The way of tea, meaning that tea can be used as a form of spiritual cultivation alongside being a delicious beverage. It can also nourish the body, nourish the spirit. Tea has a very specific type of energy. Different teas have different types of energy. And there are lots of practical aspects to brewing tea that I love to share. So throughout this series, I've been sharing a few different methods. In our first week, I believe this is we're on the fourth week in this series, fourth or fifth. I think we're on the fourth. Uh, Earlier, I've shared different brewing methods, such as just putting tea leaves in a bowl and adding hot water and drinking that tea. It's a very simple brewing method, but it's also very profound. It's something you never outgrow in Cha Dao. It's a method you come back to time and time again. I've also shared how to brew in a gaiwan, a lidded cup, how to brew from a larger side-handled teapot, and tonight we're going to be talking about the joy of the small teapot. And some people call them, they look like dolls' teapots, but they have a rich tradition in China, and I'll be sharing a little bit about that tonight. So I will just do a quick rundown of our schedule. We're together for an hour tonight. And this is our introduction. So I've introduced myself. If you'd like to introduce yourself in the chat, you are welcome to. You are very welcome to share where you're calling in from. And if you have tea this evening, please do share which tea you have. I can share that I have a 2012 aged Dianhong tea, which is a red tea from Yunnan, China. And I actually had another tea picked out earlier when I set up my chashi or my tea stage, as you see here. And oh, David, you're in Florida. Amazing. Must be nice and warm there. Thank you for being here. But I had this tea earlier that I had set out, and it felt very energetically appropriate. And then I had dinner, and it was sort of a heavier dinner. And I thought this is just a little too much. So I went for an aged tea because they can be so nice with digestion and just bringing a very gentle, grounding energy. So I switched out my tea, I switched out my pot, and this one feels very appropriate to the moment. That's another joy of learning how to prepare tea in a more intuitive and ceremonial way. You start to tap in to the beautiful energy of all the different types of teas as you drink them and experience them and learn about where they come from. So I'll be brewing this tea this evening. So here we are in the introduction. What we will move on to is I will give a brief, we'll have a brief discussion about what Reiki is and how Reiki and Cha Dao work together so beautifully. From there, I will share a little bit about the small pots and how to use them as a brewing method. Very basic primer on this subject. It can be very vast, but I always like to share just a few nuggets. So if you're interested in these types of brewing methods, you have a place to start. Then we're going to move on to a guided meditation. This will last about 10 minutes. And the main part of our meetings together are what I call the tea meditations or the inner journeys. So in this section of the meeting, we will sit together. If you have tea, that's the perfect time to drink tea and just absorb whatever has come up from you from the guided meditation and bring it into your life, allow it to integrate, or just sit peacefully, take some nice deep breaths. I'll also share a very simple but profound Reiki meditation that you can use during this time and any time during your day. And that will last about 20 minutes. And then the last 10 minutes will be a time to share if you feel called. So here we are. Let's settle in. And I'm going to just tell you a little bit about what Reiki is, if you don't already know. And if you joined me before, this might be a bit of repetition, but I hope you still find it interesting. So Reiki was brought about by Mikao Usui, a Japanese man in the 1920s. He had a spiritual experience on Mount Kurama in Japan and was able to access healing energy. And he was deeply moved by this and wanted to share it with the world. So Reiki is spiritually guided life force energy. It's something that is present everywhere, all through nature. We are also a part of nature, this limitless, warm, healing energy that we can call upon to help to heal ourselves, to heal others, to bring about peace and relief from anxiety. It's just a really incredible method. And if any of you have studied Reiki, please put that in the chat as well. Uh, Reiki can be channeled through touch. It can also be given by hovering over the body or even shared distantly. Just keeping a loved one in mind and sending beautiful energy to that person in hopes of their healing can be really, really profound. And I see Ava as a Reiki master teacher. Amazing. Amazing, Ava. The way that Reiki and Sha Dao work together so beautifully is that Reiki, in addition to being a healing practice for others, is a healing practice to the practitioner and a way to cultivate the self, to cultivate the soul and the spirit. And Cha Dao also is a cultivation method, a way to better oneself and have a discipline, a daily practice that adds to the beauty of life and helps to bring meaning. So, what I like to do with Reiki and Sha Dao together is to bring together practices from each of the modalities and bring them together. So, those of you who do know Reiki, there's a beautiful meditation called Joshin Kokyu Ho, and we'll be running through that a little bit later. But that's a really lovely way to settle in for tea or to just have this meditation that you're maintaining, this meditative state while you are having the tea. They work so beautifully together, and they also work really wonderfully separately. So in this series, we're also focusing on the different Reiki precepts. And I wanted to share Mikao Usui's Reiki Precepts. These are guideposts for living a full and open-hearted life. Reiki practitioners often recite them first thing in the morning and then in the evening before going to bed, just to have these bookends for the day to remind ourselves what's important and what we're aspiring towards as humans on this earth. So Mikao Usui's precepts uh, are like this. Just for today, I will not anger. I will not worry. I will be grateful. I will do my work honestly, and I will be kind to myself and all beings. Always strikes me just how profound these few words can be and how aspirational, how much is wrapped up in the phrase, I will not worry. Just a few words, but what an aspiration. In previous sessions in this series, we've gone through just for today, I will not anger, and I will not worry. We're on the fourth session in this series, and we'll be talking about I will be grateful. I also have, as many Reiki practitioners do, I've developed my own version of the precepts to bring a little more depth and richness to me personally. And I like to share those as well. So my precepts, or my version of the precepts, go like this. Just for today, I will choose patience over irritation. I will choose trust over fear. I will be grateful for my many blessings. I will do my work honestly and with integrity, and I will be kind and compassionate to myself and all beings. A few more words, but the same idea. So, I will be grateful for my many blessings. I will be grateful. That's what we'll be sitting with tonight. So, I invite you to think before we start our guided meditation, to just think for a moment when you think, I will be grateful. What comes up to you? What immediately springs to mind as what you're grateful for right now? And just take a moment and, let that settle in. See what bubbles up intuitively. And now I can't help but wonder if there were, one or several things that came up for you. If anything that came up for you was feeling gratitude toward yourself, gratitude toward your physical body. I think as people who are healers, who are maybe empaths, who are deeply compassionate and care about helping others and making the world a better place, I think we often put ourselves last and forget to include ourselves on that list of what to be grateful for. So that is going to be what we're focusing on for today's meditation. And I also wanted to share before we get into the meditation uh, a little bit about this brewing method. We'll be moving straight from the meditation into the 20-minute meditation with some nice relaxing music. So before we move on, I wanted to talk a little bit, now that I've planted the seed, about self-gratitude and self-love. I admit, Samuel. I wanted to talk a little bit about the practicalities of brewing tea with this method. So we're combining the Reiki, we're combining the tea. The brewing method I'm going to be sharing today. Welcome, Samuel. Good to see you here. The brewing method I'm going to be sharing today is brewing with a small pot. So this is one of the pots that I brought out. This is made of Yixing Ziza clay, which is a very particular type of clay from China. These types of pots have been used for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And there are really two types of clay. I'll get a little technical for a moment. Two types of clay that brew particularly lovely tea. And the reason I say that is because this tea has, or the clay has a lovely way of softening water and sort of smoothing out any bitter edges in different teas that you brew in these pots. And they also get better with time as you brew the tea in the pot over and over again. The tea oils will start to soak into that clay and just enhance your tea. So these are really lifetime friends, lifetime companions. I always recommend to new students of tea to be choosy if you can. If you get bitten by the small pot bug, as they say, you might want to start amassing a huge collection of pots very quickly. And I've noticed in students and also in myself when I was first starting on my tea journey about 10 years ago, that it's very easy to accumulate many pots and not enjoy many pots. So I always recommend, being choosy, waiting until you find a pot that really strikes you and has, an intuitive connection with you because they can be expensive, but they are lifetime friends. And also be a little skeptical if they're extremely cheap. Probably a good sign that it's not a good quality clay and it really won't enhance your tea brewing. So this is the pot that I brought out today that I use particularly with these aged teas. And I also brought a few different shapes to show you. So you can have sort of these wider pots with a little bit of a wider lid for larger tea leaves. You can have taller pots that are nice for tea leaves that are rolled. So when you brew them, the leaves have room to sort of expand vertically, which is really lovely. And some pots are quite small. And then this is the pot I probably use more than any other. I've used it for almost 10 years, and you can see the way it shines. That is from pouring tea over this pot for 10 years. Whenever I have a brewing session, I always offer that first cup to the pot. And over time, the tea oils have just integrated with the pot and made a really lovely brewing vessel that enhances the tea whenever I use it. So I mentioned there are two main types of clay. And one of them is this Ishing Zasa clay, which is a little bit darker. This one's also made of this type of clay. It's also called purple sand clay. And then there's also these Chaozhou pots, which the clay is made, it's a wetter clay. So it is made on a potter's wheel as opposed to the Ishing pots, which are hand formed. They're a thicker clay. They do subtly different things with tea. But I think either of them are excellent types of clay to add to your teaware collection and get to know. And I will be brewing tonight with the small pot and a single cup. This is sometimes called a master cup. It's also traditional in China to brew with these small pots into three very small cups. And that is something I'll be touching on in our next session, which is a month from now. So if you're interested in that, I encourage you to tune into that session as well. So I've outlined what we'll be working on in our meditation or what we'll be settling into. I've outlined a little bit about this really lovely brewing method. And now we're going to move into a meditation that will last around 10 minutes. And we're going to explore gratitude for the self, the idea of gratitude for the self. And joining us this evening energetically, the wild roses here in New York are in full bloom. There is just the most intoxicating aroma of just, oh, there goes the rose. Back into the pot you go. But this incredible aroma, just walk outside, you catch the breeze, and it's this beautiful rose aroma. And this particular rose, some of you may know it as the multiflora rose. It is widely regarded as one of the most aggressive invasive plants in the United States. But to me, I look at it differently. I see a plant that can thrive almost anywhere in the poorest soils and create a boundary with its thorns, but bring such richness to the world with its perfume and with its flowers for the pollinators. And interestingly enough, this wild rose, the multiflora rose, is native to China. So tonight we have a plant native to China joined by tea, which is also native to China. So we're enjoying a little plant reunion tonight. If you have the wild rose in your area, while building on this theme of self-love and gratitude, you might want to just consider what it's like to set a boundary like the rose does, to be to be beautiful and nurturing. And rose is heart medicine after all. To be beautiful and nurturing, but also have the thorns and set a firm boundary. As healers, it can sometimes be very hard to set a boundary with others when we just want to help so desperately. So remember to be like the rose, embody that wild rose and see what comes into your heart that way. For now, I invite you to take a nice deep breath and get comfortable in your seat and just settle into your body and settle into this moment. You are here right now on this earth. Millions of little tiny choices have led us all to this one point in time in the same Zoom room, sharing breaths, sharing presence, maybe sharing tea if you have tea tonight, and just being human upon the earth. I invite you to consider your body, just the amazing things that our bodies can do for us. The way the senses of the body allow us to experience this tangible world. If you believe that the soul is separate from the body, it might be interesting to play with the idea of these bodies being like vehicles for our soul so we can enjoy this life and take in the beauty of this world through all our senses. I invite you to place your hands on your heart if you feel comfortable. Take a nice deep breath. And just tune in to this moment. Underneath your hands, pay attention to your heartbeat, that gentle rhythm. A heart that beats just for you. In your body, this precious gift just for you. Imagine your hands bringing a warmth to your heart space. You can envision beautiful golden light. If it helps, you can also hover your hands in front of your heart or have your hands on your body, whatever feels more comfortable. And just bask in this feeling of warmth and recognition and love. Give yourself permission to be curious, to scan through your body and see if there are any messages. Oftentimes, our bodies, when they have a need, they'll start to tell us in a very subtle way that can be hard to catch. You might feel the first little inkling that you're thirsty, but think, oh, I should keep working, or I don't have time. But how would you respond if a loved one said they were thirsty? Or a beloved pet maybe had an empty water bowl? Give yourself the permission to look at your own body the way you would look at someone you love, and to send that love and appreciation right to you. Because it is okay to send love to yourself. To breathe in the wonder of having a body. And breathe out any wishes for change. See how it feels to love your body and all its wonders right now, and to not wish for anything to be different, if only for a moment. Next, you can place your hands on your lap, either palms up or palm down, whichever you prefer. And we're just going to briefly practice Joshin Kokyu Ho, which is a Reiki meditation. And I'll walk you through it. Visualize a beautiful glowing light above your head, above your crown. It's a warm, nurturing, and healing energy. And it's everywhere. Right now, it's focused above your crown. As you breathe in, imagine that healing light coming down the central line of your body and gathering in your abdomen, which in Reiki we call the hara. As you breathe out, imagine that light flowing out through your body, through your arms and legs, every pore in your skin, and rippling out into the universe. So breathe in that golden light and feel it descend to your abdomen and gather there and strengthen. And then as you breathe out, allow that energy to expand throughout your body and ripple outward. Take a few rounds at your own pace, breathing down the energy. And then releasing that energy through your body and out to the universe. Allow your shoulders to drop and your belly to soften. And just relax into this beautiful moment. To close this meditation, I'll recite the Reiki Precepts, and you're very welcome to repeat them after me or just listen. Just for today, I will choose patience over irritation. I will choose trust over fear. I will be grateful for my many blessings. I will do my work honestly and with integrity. And I will be kind and compassionate to myself and all beings. Just for today, I will choose patience over irritation. I will choose trust over fear. I will be grateful for my many blessings. I will do my work honestly and with integrity. And I will be kind and compassionate to myself and all beings. Just for today, I will choose patience over irritation. I will choose trust over fear. I will be grateful for my many blessings. I will do my work honestly and with integrity. And I will be kind and compassionate to myself and all beings. We'll now move into our gentle music and meditation, our personal meditation. This will be a silent time with the music to brew tea if you have it with you, or to practice Joshin Kokyuho again if you feel called to that, to reflect on the ideas of gratitude and self-love, self-gratitude, or anything else that's calling to you right now. After the 20 minutes, we will end this personal meditation and then come back, and there will be time for sharing if you're interested. So I'll get that music going, and I'll see you in 20 minutes. All right, you can start to come back. Thank you so much for joining me this evening.